Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to...
So what would you describe as your greatest accomplishment in the corporate world?
As well, I've not finished. I'm still on the job. I'm still a small boy.
So far.
I think to the glory of God, my greatest accomplishment would be that I can look back and I say with every sense of nostalgia that, and I say, and this is all glory to God, I have coveted no man's gold. I have coveted no man's silver. I am what I am by the grace of God. You can take it in another way and say, my greatest accomplishment is that I could see godliness and contentment is great gain. Contentment. That in all the offices and positions I found myself, I exercised contentment. I coveted no man's gold. I coveted no man's silver. I did not steal or take anybody's resources or company resources. I worked in Coke, I worked at Guinness, I worked at Samsung, all the electronics in my house. I paid for them. I bought them from Sims or Dashcom, my distributors. My file is still with Sims. If you go to Ike Sims, ask him, he will tell you the goods I bought and still buy. When I was MD, I bought them. I did not take company resources to buy it. Contentment. Whatever, because the Bible tells me that even the king will be paid for the proceeds of the field. So it is what we make and I'm paid, whether it's my bonus, whether it's my this, whatever, that I'll live with my family and I'll sit with my son, my wife, and my daughter, and then we can say, this is what this, suffice it for this moment. If you call that an accomplishment, that will be contentment for me, Azu.
How does one apply rigor in what one is doing? I mean, earlier on you were saying something about applying rigor and everything.
Rigor is, okay, you want to go into something, people want to go into business. Rigor is when you throw yourself in and say, do the proper research, do the analysis. You are in an office, this was the office setting. You want to take a decision, you want the company, you want to make a proposal to management to do a certain line. Have you crossed the T's and dotted the I's? Rigor. And it starts from the way you think. As a man thinks in his heart, so he is. If you are little, you remain little in your thinking. And people get tired. Do you know, Azu, today's generation, when you start asking them questions and asking why, they get to a certain point and say, "Okay, Joe, you are disturbing me, Joe." No, that's a man that does not want to apply rigor. He will falter in his decisions. But when you keep asking why is this so? Why would this be this? And the person continues to follow you, that's a man or woman that will make and take the right decision. Anybody you talk to after the second level, the person says, "Okay, you're asking too many questions. Why are you disturbing me?" That's the general attitude we have in our society because we don't like rigor. When you interrogate people to find out what is driving them, I don't care what you drive. What I care is what is driving you. I don't care what car you drive. That's the truth.
Like that.
Rigor, that's rigor. Because I will drill you. Questioning tells you if a man is ready or not. You are asking me questions. Azu, did you give me questions before this?
No, time? I didn't.
Well,
I didn't.
You are giving me, you are slapping me with questions left, right, center. But some other person will say, okay, don't do now. But I can go on with you for the next 5 hours.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So now I would like to find out from you, in your journey, through the corporate world, where did you find the greatest, or where did you learn where did you find the greatest fulfillment and why? I mean, Guinness, L'Oreal, Cadbury, Coca-Cola, Samsung. Where did you find the greatest fulfillment and why?
I'll be most unfair if I say I found the greatest fulfillment in company X. But permit me to look at it within the context of building blocks.
Okay.
Each one was a block that created the house. So what do I mean? I spent 7 years of my corporate life. My foundation years were shaped, modeled by Guinness. Ethics, values, and what it takes. So 7 years I was with Guinness. I launched a brand, Satsembrow. I supported the launch of Malta Guinness. Then I moved over to another brand, Coca-Cola. I spent 11 years with Coke. Between Guinness and Coca-Cola, 18 solid years of my corporate career. That was the house built. The house was built. When I got to Cadbury, and the 3 years I spent in Cadbury was an experience, all that you have seen and heard and held. Time, come and show us here, because the company was going down. And that's where we now that house had to be furnished and then put together and remade and repurposed. And so, stepping out of, when you now look at 21 years of my career, they now prepared me so well that I could be bold enough to say, I can go to any sector, I can go to any. So going into Samsung, I was managing director, I was running 5 business units. The 5 business units had 5 separate P&Ls from Korea, and I had 5 business leaders: mobile, consumer electronics, home appliances, B2B, and what we used to call IT. That was where we had our laptops and all of that. 5 business units. Where did I get the impetus to go there? When I joined Samsung, our top line revenue was $88 million. When I left Samsung, it was times 4. Times 4 of that 88 million, do the math, when I left it. And I took a gap year. Then I decided 1 year, I just want to stay on my own. Corporate shepherds, let me just sit in. And then L'Oreal came calling. And getting into L'Oreal, I found myself as the most senior black man across the world at L'Oreal. But what was it that we're trying to do? It was about the essence of beauty. And how do you take it into a different space? So each of these experiences are unique. I cannot strip one out. If I remove one, the whole
building will collapse.
it will collapse.
The structure will go back.
So everyone, suffice it to say that they're all linked, and they're able to, and that's the way I'll really put it.
All right. Why did Satsembrow? Why didn't it fly? I mean, it wasn't part of the agenda, but I mean, considering what you did there, you introduced it and everything. Why didn't it fly?
Okay. Let me tell you this on reasonable authority. I am a living witness to what Satsembrow, the process of Satsembrow from beginning to the point when I left the company. First of all, I don't think it is wrong to say that it did not fly. Someday I'll be able to. I hope I can be able to pen this down. But let me say it for the first time publicly. I was privileged to be appointed brand manager for Satsembrow. And Satsembrow was the byproduct of a process. And this was a strategic process that the company at that time needed to play in different categories, of which within the beer market, we were losing out on a certain segment, the premium segment of the beer market. So we went through a portfolio planning exercise, and we needed to really play in a certain category, the premium category, which was occupied by a certain brand at that time. And we needed to make that happen. Now, if you look at the beer market, stout and lager, that's beer market. So stouts, take it away. This was lager. And lager just had, every bottle was in green except one of such. And that in itself gave it the premiumness. But then you could take a green bottle from anywhere, just slap on a label, and then that's why they were all mainstream, because everybody was green. And so we needed to jump into that cream, and that gave rise to us looking around the portfolio. And we had Satsembrow in Cameroon, and we now had to go through the process. It was a fantastic Pilsner lager. There were many things that Satsembra had. I can tell you now because I can rightly say I was the father of Satsembra. The first thing was the ABV, the alcohol by volume, was 6%. Typically, you have alcohol by volume in the range of 4.5 to about 6. This was on the top. It was at the top of that range. That was what it was. It was about 6%. Then the original gravity, which they call OG, the original gravity of it was heavy. So as a Pilsner lager, it went through a special fermentation process, which made it unique in terms of taste and delivery. And by the time we launched it, that was the beginning, the opening of integrated marketing communications. For the first time, no brand had ever done a teaser campaign. So I went around the whole of Lagos, selected 60 boards with the late Femi Ogala, Invent Media. Those wooden boards, and overnight, Femi Ogala, rest his soul, built all of those boards, those 60 boards around Lagos. Then we opened the campaign, the bottle. 1 week after, the beer. The third week, the taste. The fourth week, the name. And then the review, the final word, Satsembra, the final word. Those 5 weeks, we launched it, and it was so successful. Now, there was a plan. And this is the lesson to everyone that, especially management, I say that with every sense of duty and respect. We had a plan to roll out Satsembra, Lagos, Ibadan, and Benin, and also by the turn of that year, we're supposed to be in the East. But by the time we did Lagos, Ibadan, and the Ibadan launches, Benin, the brand had gone haywire. Everybody wanted it. He had all kinds of names, Sketa Blouse, Sergeant Brown, and it got to a point. Management, the pressure was now coming in because it takes a certain process for it to lager. And there was a plan. We also had a plan that we're looking for, our target was to get X% of whatever that premium lager was doing. I tell you, that was it. And we launched in April, the last week of April. I know this like yesterday. And May 1. In 3 months, we had sold whatever we had planned to sell in 3 months almost for the year, just by getting into 3 markets. Now, this was where and management now said, listen, guys, the way this thing is going, because people were coming from different places, coming to peak, and they take it there, it was distorting the market. We launched Satsembra with a premium price over the nearest competitor. There was a 5 naira difference, retail. It was to be sold at 45 naira, while the 5 naira differential. Do you believe and do you know that at some point, it was now in some other places where people were coming to take cartons, even some of our customers, they were not ready to wait for it to get to them. They were now selling it for 60, 65. So at that point, it was management decision. Management said, let's roll out national. That was what killed us. It was a management decision that made it fail.
What was the greatest lesson that you learned, from the corporate world?
I think my lesson started from even that point of the Satsembra launch, that whenever I get to a place of authority, I'll listen to the guys on the ground. Because if they had listened to me and us, they would have stuck to the plan. I wouldn't have had the challenge of demand outstripping supply, and then we'll run into a fiasco.